First thing we're doing is we're going to hit add roles and features. We're installing an RODC today. So I'm hitting next. This is going to be next again. I'm going to select my server here. It's got the goofy name, but it still is my server. I'm going to select Active Directory Domain Services and hit add features. And I'm going to hit next. So it's a role that we're installing, not a feature. So under the features tab here, I select nothing and I hit next. And I'm going to hit restart if required. We're in a lab, so that's no big deal. I'm going to install. While we're installing, we'll chat about it. So basically, I'm joining it to the same domain as if you were with the previous video, we deployed a on-premises domain controller. So as part of the AZ-800, soon to be 802, one of the steps here, one of the things on the exam is deploy a read-only domain controller. But not only is that an exam thing, it's a real-world thing. People use them. Probably helpful to talk about what is an RODC. So really, it's a domain controller that is read-only. Most domain controllers, typically, they would exchange information back and forth. Make an update to one, you add a new user or something. Make an update to its database. It's going to replicate over to the other domain controllers and vice versa. It'll receive updates. But a read-only one, I'm going to hit close here, it only receives updates. So it doesn't send them. We'll talk about why here in a second. What we're going to do next is where this big yellow triangle is. Click that. And just like with a regular domain controller, I'm going to promote to domain control. So first thing here is getting an error. I don't know what it's doing, but probably need a reboot. So we're going to hit add to an existing domain. That's what you would normally do. And I'm going to select the domain. Not going to worry about the error right now because it might just work. If not, I'll stop the video and we'll troubleshoot. So I'm going to put in the password. So you want to do it in the format of username at whatever. I don't know if that's universally true, but I'm going to stop the video. We got it here back. So we're going to click this thing and hit promote. Nice thing about watching the video is all the troubleshooting is done for you. You didn't have to do a thing. Just kind of sit there and it's magically fixed. So I'm going to put my password in here. Going a little fast because I think we covered this already, but maybe not. Now you can see this domain is up here. I'm going to hit OK. What I did was enter it in here. I'm also going to select this add a domain controller. We're doing an existing domain setup. You'll notice under the credentials, I have it in the format of username at domain. I had some issues putting it in the format of domain / username, and looking it up online, found that this appears to work better. I don't know offhand why. I don't know if it's due to the UPN being set to that, the user principal theme. I don't really know. We're not going to worry about it right now, but I would suggest doing that. I'm going to hit next. Well, there's a bug in Windows Server 2025. We'll talk about that in another video, maybe. So this screen here is going to come up. So we want to look at, okay, what capabilities and what do we want on this thing, right? So the first one we see here is DNS server. I hope you can see that. I got a decent size mouse, but maybe I'll start cranking it up for future videos. We got a global catalog. So here's the thing. I don't have the article in front of me. Just kidding. We have it right. Nice thing about editing. So you got this this little Microsoft article about planning global catalog servers. So really the main takeaway is they're saying this, you'd want to plan, right, where you have your global catalog, but if you have a single domain forest, you don't. Put them on all domain controllers. So that's what we're going to do. Very little planning involved. So we're going to leave it at that. But now we're going to check this box. Read-only domain controller. Now one thing we didn't talk about was why do you want to use one? This does come into play here. Really, as we mentioned, it's only receiving data. And you'd usually use this, you know, a good scenario would be maybe you have a small office in another country. So if everyone's logging in to your domain controller and it's going across the ocean, it's going to be kind of slow, maybe for logons, you know, doing directory service type queries, things like that. And a read-only domain controller you can stick in a place like that. It may not be a very secure place. Maybe it's in some closet or something. And the nice thing about it is they don't store the entire Active Directory database. So they, I don't know how boring this is since you can't see me, but nowadays people need to have entertainment, right? But this isn't really about entertainment fully. Anyway, so losing my train of thought, but basically they only store some information. In fact, we'll get to that. So I'm going to continue. The reason that's good is because if somebody walks away with the server and it has your entire Active Directory database, well, it's not that hard to crack into it, even though it's encrypted. But with the read-only, as you see, there's only certain accounts that are allowed to replicate their passwords to the RODC. So you're not going to have your whole database, you're not going to have all your domain admins and things like that. Just going to be a few users at this branch, and if they steal it, well, you can reset these passwords pretty easily. They're not going to be privileged users, so it's not nearly as big of an issue. Not saying it's not an issue at all, but so you got this delegated administrator account here. This would be like, you know, it's not like an admin, but it's maybe somebody on site there, like let's say a super janitor, right? Like he's a janitor, but he kind of does IT stuff. IT guys are kind of like janitors cleaning up Microsofts and so on. But this guy, he is a janitor. Sometimes I think about being it, but I decide against it. So this guy is a real smart janitor, and occasionally he does some stuff on the server for us here at JLab 4. So he's delegated to administer some things on this RODC. Another thing you can see here is these groups. Basically, they're not allowed to replicate passwords. Now, I looked it up. Again, the article I don't have in front of me, but again, through the magic of editing, I pulled it up here. You'll find that sometimes things replicate when they're not supposed to. I'm not going to read this whole article, but it's usually permissions. Wouldn't be surprised if there's a bug too at times. But having it in here kind of helps with that because it's explicitly. So even if you misconfigure something, whatever's in these groups will not replicate. So it's a safety. I'm going to hit next, and we're going to replicate from any domain control time. You could choose certain ones. We're just going to leave defaults here. And as always, you can do a PowerShell script to this. If you hit view script, we just ran this in PowerShell. It would do all the same stuff. But we're not going to be doing this a ton here, and we're really just showing you the GUI for the concept. Here, we're not going to worry about not having a static IP because it's a lab. Anything else passes. I'm going to go ahead and hit install. So that's kind of the gist of RODCs. Again, if we, while this is going, we'll talk about this. We look at our skills here at a glance from the AZ-800, soon to be 802. We're knocking this guy out. We already did this one. This one's kind of more boring, so we'll get into that later. The next one, you know, I can't guarantee it'll be next, but at some point here, I'd like to get us going with deploy and manage a DC in Azure. Eventually, we'll build this whole thing up, this lab, maybe set up Azure Arc and just see how far we can go. Looks like we're going to restart here. Thing is done. That's fine. That's really kind of all there is to it. Once it restarts, we'll have an RODC as part of this lab we're building. I actually set up a OpenSense router, and that actually segregates off my new lab in its own network. So I got the domain controller and this RODC. They're both running. In fact, this was some of the issue I had. I created a virtual switch called SLab. Still talks to the internet, but it uses this firewall, OpenSense firewall, to get out. So that way it can have DHCP as we set up on this domain controller. You need to be using this DC or typically for DNS. So that's why we kind of need that. Clicking all over, but that's really the gist of it. I'm going to keep this going. Obviously, you can check out now and go do something else, but if you want to keep watching, that's fine. They do say to subscribe to channels a lot on YouTube. Apparently that helps for getting viewers. So do with that what you will. Not gonna worry about it too much, but we'll get this thing going. So yeah, we are on the domain controller now, just after that reboot, just to show you what we see. You'll notice this screen is up. This was my issue, just Easter egg nugget was a bug in Server 2025 for whatever reason puts you on a public network a lot. That's a fun one. Maybe we'll figure out how we can permanently fix that bug. In previous versions of Windows, you would set the network location awareness to delayed start, but it's not apparently used. So you can see it in Active Directory users and computers. There's our appropriately named read-only domain control. I didn't create any sites. Probably do that sometime, but we'll leave it for now. Just another quick nugget. I just restart the network adapter. That's how I fixed that public. So that's it. That's all we got. So we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.